I don't think Donald Trump is like that. So I think he's a lot less scary than some of the things we've seen before, because I think he's very opportunistic. I think he's probably a pretty unpleasant man from some of the things he said, but I don't think he's an ideologue, so I don't think he's crazy. So I think as a businessman, he's going to try and promote pro-business policies. But I think the really difficult thing is, we don't really know what these are. And even when we understand what it is he's going to try to do, we don't know how much of that he can get away with. People focus on the fact that, we have a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican Congress, but the Republicans don't have what's called a supermajority. Right. So because of that, they can't force through fiscal plans, they can't force through spending plans, they can't force through tax plans. They need the support of Democrats. And even then, the Republicans themselves, when we had infrastructure spending, which has been proposed in the last two administrations, didn't get through because of the Republican opposition to it. So I think it's very unlikely that Trump is going to be able to do. Right. I think what that means for the markets is that a lot of the rally that we've seen so far, and equities in general in America, and also in sectors, infrastructure-friendly sectors. I mean, I think on the day the election result came out, Caterpillar was the best performing stock in the States. It was up 8% on the day or something. So, because of that, I think a lot of those expectations are very wrong. I don't think that they're going to be able to.
Too early.
I think it's way too early, way too much. And I think the other thing is the reaction in the bond market is wrong as well. So we've seen bonds absolutely get created, and the worrying thing there is that every time we've had a major market dislocation in the last 20 years or so, there's been a spike in bond yields to precede that. So actually, what this is telling me is two things. One is that people, I think, are getting too excited, too carried away, too extreme about what is likely to happen.
To take one side.
Exactly. And the second thing is, I think they're underestimating the amount of risk out there. So right now, I'd be very, very careful about American equities, about global equities, but I would be looking at the price of American bonds. And I think that, some of the 10-year or the 20-plus year American bonds, you look at the yields on those now, I think that's actually somewhere where if there's an opportunity, people should be looking right now. But I think, the danger is that a lot of the sectors that are expected to do well because of Trump's policies are very much, they're pro-cyclical sectors. So if we get any kind of slowdown, financial services, I think, would be one that would really, really struggle. Banks would really struggle. So people have driven those sectors up because they say that Trump is going to bring in policies that are say friendly to the big banks, and yet, if he does, he's still that's not enough. He's still got to be able to generate growth in the economy, which I think is the bigger challenge. And unless he's able to do that, doesn't matter how friendly he is in terms of deregulation. These are very pro-cyclical sectors. So I think you have to be very, very careful there. I think people are looking at the headline and they're not reading the story underneath, and I think that can be very, very dangerous. So I think there's going to be a lot of relative value plays. A lot of the things that have gone up so far, I think there's a real risk that they could come all the way back down and even more. And I think some of the sectors that, if you look at utilities, they seem to have come off a little bit since then. They were expensive to start with, so it doesn't necessarily mean they're at good value right now. But I think a lot of this movement that we've seen, within different sectors at the moment, I think that's, like I said, very overdone. I think it's too exaggerated, and I think people need to take a little bit of a deep breath. And the election result was a big, momentous event, but a lot of people are starting to look ahead now to the inauguration, to when President Trump actually takes power in January. Exactly. And what will he actually be able to do in his first 100 days in power, which is what everybody sees as being the important part. So that's when we find out, I think. And it might be very different.